Day. Um, this is kind of that time of year where we do our annual inventory, so it's really busy and hectic within this building. So it's easier for me to tuck myself away inside my office and just do the show from here. It's so much easier. Um, Depending on which platform you're watching it on, of course, you're going to see a little thing down at the bottom that'll show you how to shop. It's real easy. It just takes you to the landing page of the piece that I have on there, and it's super easy for you to shop from there. Um, if you have any questions, please in the chat, send me something. I'm kind of watching from all angles. So if you've got something that you want to see, got a question about what I'm going to show you, easy to do. So what we have today is rhodolite garnet. So on tomorrow's show, we're going to have some really, really nice Madagascar demantoid specimens. So with that, I wanted to show a different variety of garnet because that garnet really is my favorite species of stone. It's got all kinds of great varieties. It comes in all kinds of great colors. It rivals tourmaline for the spread of color that it comes in. So just something that I'm really excited about. So what we're going to talk about today is the rhodolite grape variety, which, rhodolite is a combination of pyrope and almandine. Garnet really is such a fascinating variety or species of gemstone because it comes in so many of pyrope, almandine, spessartine, grossular garnet, andradite, everything, a huge spread. And as those blend together, where you have that isomorphous transfer, where one chemical leaves and another comes in, you still have that blend where, like, if the iron's coming in here and then magnesium's coming in, or aluminum, or whatever it is that's that coloring agent, you'll still have that blend, that one point. Like, think about where ocean water meets fresh water, and you have that weird looking, water. That's kind of what you have in these varieties of gemstones, and then they'll make a certain type. And it's a nightmare of a stone. That's why Spectra is the only thing that helps you out and saves you sometimes to identify these. The first one that we're going to show is this nice 6.5 millimeter hexagonal. This is a 1 carat. Really big fan of this. I like odd shapes and everything, kite shapes, coffin cuts, whatever they are that aren't traditional, because they're really unique. Extra time went into making these stones. You'll also notice, since I'm not in the studio, it's a little bit hard to focus in on some of this stuff. So use your picture, or if you want, I can. Sorry, I'm reading a comment. Yeah, the green are very crazy. If you have, grossular garnet, which, will come in the green, demantoid garnet, tsavorite garnet, all kinds of different greens. Uvarovite can even be green at times. To get a collection of all the different kinds of garnets, it really is kind of a life's work, because there's different qualities of everything. And those coloring agents, especially, with the coloring agents, you can look at something that you think might be, the stone, but it has to tick all the boxes to actually be called what it is. That's kind of like green beryl versus emerald. There is a difference, and it takes some advanced testing a little bit, or going through every test to confirm that that's what it is. But on this nice 6.5 millimeter hexagon, and this is a 1 carat, and it's $45. But good color on this all the way through. So to have a rhodolite, like the difference between a rhodolite and, just a red garnet, is it has to have a hint of another color. So it either needs to be reddish purple or purplish red. You can't just have red, or, a deeply saturated orangish red or something like that, because you have to have, purple has to be one of your qualifying colors. That's why it's called grape garnet, or raspberry garnet. You're seeing that purplish variety in there. Sorry, I'm reading comments over on my computer screen, so if you see me looking over, that's what's going on. I've got the YouTube chat over there, and then trying to get chats going on everywhere so I can see what everybody's saying. But if not, I'll follow back up in the comments, depending on where you're watching. If you're on the gemstones.com Facebook or any of the Facebook pages, I will go back through and answer questions. So please, if you can, just be patient. We're trying to figure out, we go to so many different platforms that we follow up afterwards. Garnet is your birthstone. It's my dad's birthstone. I kind of wish it was my birthstone because it's just more exciting than ruby in my opinion. Like I like a nice ruby, but you don't get as many choices with it that you would from garnet because you really just get ruby and star ruby. That's about it. Maybe a trapezie if you're really, looking for something unique and rare. And that's a great thing about garnet too, is you will get optical effects with garnet. You can get star garnet that comes from Idaho. A really nice crisp star. It's just the body color of that garnet tends to be like a rust color. Nothing wrong with it. I like all colors of garnet, but that one's just a little bit different. But the star looks really good, and you can get either 4 or 6 rayed stars with those star garnets. Our next piece is going to be a 55 point grape color garnet. So grape color garnet is something that I don't want to say that it was a newer find, but it was more something that once we got it. Good morning, Suzanne. Thank you for watching. But when we got it, it just kind of was that light, subtle color difference that it just set it apart from what you would call rhodolite. And it was a really popular stone. We do have quite a few of these in stock, so if you're wanting something bigger than this, and it is kind of hard to get it to, focus. Like I said, we don't have those wonderful studio cameras that you've been used to seeing, but I kind of like coming up here to my room because you get to see my egg and you get to see the sorting. And I'm just going to turn the camera real quick so you guys can see it. You get to see all of our bowls of gemstones that we have laid out. And again, we're getting ready for inventory, so I would say pardon this mess, but my desk looks better than it's ever looked because of inventory coming up. But on this rhodolite, or this grape garnet, it just really has a light color to it, and it looks really good. This is a 5mm round, and this is a really inexpensive stone. This is $35, and this is something that they match pretty well. If you were to get 2 of these, you would be able to make earrings. You would be able to make a nice pendant, maybe a 5-stone ring. I always say that with loose gemstones, the possibilities are endless, because with a finished piece of jewelry, everything's been done for you. You don't have a whole lot of say in it other than I like it. But as a collector myself, or just an person who appreciates loose gemstones, I almost said appreciator, and I thought, we're not going to make up new words today, Tom. We have to use, words that have already been established in language. So I'm not going to say appreciator. I think it's probably a word. It just doesn't sound good. It doesn't come across well. But as someone who appreciates loose gemstones on their own, I have bags and bags of loose gemstones, and I enjoy taking them out and looking at them on a pretty regular basis. So on something like this grape garnet, if you're someone who's out there searching for all the different varieties of garnet, this is a good one to get your hands on. It is a good collector's stone. Nice rich color. When you look at it, you can see why they call it grape garnet. It's a lot different than, like a Hakmonite. When a Hakmonite tenebresses, and it goes from that very light lavender color to the really rich, deep grape jelly purple, like you would see in a restaurant when you open up the jar. All that, that is deep grape jelly color on Hakmonite once it tenebresses and that color shifts. But this is like really light. This is a nice pleasing tone to the eye, and I'm a really big fan of it. It looks like we have all kinds of garnet babies that are popping up in the YouTube chat. So we're kind of at the halfway point. We're getting closer to your next birthday, so get ready for it. Zach, so we have a lot of stones in inventory. We have probably over $100 million worth of stones in retail on our website. So basically what happens is I come back and look at our inventory list. It's all in-house in this building for the most part. There's some that partners will hold in their offices, either in New York or LA, different places around the country. But we hold a lot of product in the building. So as we get requests of things to show, I just come back here to my computer, put in a request for certain stones that I think highlight the best to show, and then it's kind of how I build my shows out to present to you guys. Tomorrow's pieces that I'm going to be showing are demantoid garnets from Madagascar. I'm looking because I have these things sitting here at my desk because, again, with inventory coming up, I'm just going to go ahead and hold on to them to make it easier for everybody. I'll show you one real quick. But you can go to the website. It's jadora.com and shop gemstones, and you can see what we have in inventory. You can just type in simple Google search. I thought this was a demantoid garnet specimen. It's not. It's a nephrite jade sphere. So you can look to see what we have in there. A lot of stuff in inventory. We're always getting more stuff and adding more stuff. So always watch that. Sort by new. It really makes a difference. But right now, we're just kind of going over grape garnets. I don't even know what happened to the gem jar this thing was in. Oh, I found it. Yay. Let me just check these real quick. Auroras, so for me, like, there's three things with, you know, garnet being amethyst or zircon, right? So for me, immediately what I'm going to do is use a refractometer. So a refractometer, you can't really read it here, but it's got all the refraction indexes on here. So what's going to happen is this is the best way to describe refraction is if you're looking at a glass of water with a straw in it, and the straw looks like this out of the water, and then it's over here in the water. That's refraction. So it's bending of light. So what you're doing is you're estimating how the light bends inside that gemstone to get a reading. So each one, for the most part, has its own unique reading. There is some crossover on gemstones. So then you have to do secondary tests. Like I would use my polariscope, which shows a blinking of light if it's doubly or singly refractive. Garnet, singly refractive. Amethyst, doubly refractive. Zircon, doubly refractive. However, zircon is over the limit. So you just want to look for doubling of the facets. I'm making people's eyes cross right now. I can feel it. Just because I always tell people when I start talking about this stuff, tell me when you want me to stop. Because I understand that it's a lot. So pretty much we're looking for... Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. That did make sense. Okay, you're correct. If you go to jadora.com and type in grape garnet, I usually don't give item numbers just because I'm presenting a stone. That's all it is. I don't like really giving item numbers. I can start doing that. I'll type the one in right now in the chat just so you know which one is ahead. I know they usually will do this. I'll normally will put in comments. If you go to gemstones.com on Facebook, it should have everything loaded in, all the item numbers. But if you go to jadora.com and shop gemstones, you can find all of these things on there, everything that we have. Sorry, I'm just reading through the comments again. Yes, Presidium is really good gem tester. I always think just from a graduate gemologist standpoint, never go with the first estimation that you get. Like you have to run through every test, because general observation is you pull a stone out, you should have a decent idea of what you're looking at just from the start. But then everything that you do beyond that is a confirmation test. So you're confirming that it's sticking in my mind with what I think that gemstone is. Eventually you're going to come across one test where you're like, this doesn't fit what I think. So at that point, it turns into, all right, well now I have to do the research to find out what it actually is. That's the funnest thing about gemology and gem testing, is when you get that one stone where you're like, none of this adds up, none of this makes sense. And then you want to track it down if you have the time. Sometimes you just have to set it to the side and go, this isn't what it came to me as, I'm stopping right now. So that's a big deal. I appreciate you too, Zach. Thank you so much for the comments. If you reach out, JTV_Tom Joyce on Instagram, if there were any that you had a specific question about, I can get you the item number and all the pricing, and we can walk you through it from there. But always ask if there's stuff you want to see, and we'll get it figured out. We always try to put something on the next week that people want to see. So this next one is GAV283. This is a 40 point, another grape color garnet. This is a 6x4 oval, and this is the most expensive that is on the show. And this is a nice, really nice color grape garnet. One of my favorite things about grape garnet, and garnet in general, I think one of the things that really draws me to it the most is all the inclusions in it. And a lot of these pictures, if you were to click on them or go to the website to look at and kind of expand it a little bit, you can generally see the inclusions inside of it. And I don't think inclusions are bad, unless I know there are some metaphysical stones that people would like them to be as clean as possible, like white sapphire. I completely get that kind of stuff. If you were buying for metaphysical, I never do. I don't usually talk to metaphysical because, again, with the gemology standpoint, it's only things that can be tested and verified that are really, matter to me and how I buy or sell a gemstone. But that is not a like broad statement. It's just a Tom Joyce statement. Like I've never really been into metaphysical. I know that there are a lot of people that are, and I know that a lot of stones are purchased and bought for that, but I don't know a whole lot about it. But I love inclusions because inclusions can be a definitive on what you're looking at. Whether you have intersecting needles at 90-degree angles, or rounded crystals inside of it, 2-phase inclusions, 3-phase inclusions. These are things that, depending on the color and the readings that you got before that, are really important stuff. So there's a comment in YouTube where, and this is Bear Tutor, where it says iolite can look a lot like tanzanite. Correct, 100%. There are certain things and small subtleties when you look at an iolite. Generally, it would be a lower quality tanzanite that it would match because it wouldn't have that royal blue in it, since iolite has so much purple. So I'm reaching for it. So this is what saves your life on determining whether you have an iolite or a tanzanite. So this is a calcite dichroscope. So basically, when you look through this thing, there are two little, you can kind of see it. There are two little boxes that are offset. So when you look through a tanzanite, for example, you're going to see like a royal blue on one box and a purple on the other. And then you rotate it so those boxes flip sides, and the colors should flip as well. So where you saw blue before, you should see purple. Where you see purple, you should see blue. Now, then you turn that stone, rotate it maybe 90 degrees, and you'll see one of the colors you already saw, and then the other one you should see would be a yellowish green. So on an iolite, you're not going to see that yellowish green. You're going to see like a grayish color. So that's the confirmation on that. Like, now your RIs are going to be different 100%, but there's so much gray area in RIs. You could see a little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending on impurities, all this kind of stuff. But that's the big one on there. Yeah, Aurora. So gemstones are really interesting. That's why, whenever I talk to, friends in my personal life, I do have friends, believe it or not. There's one in particular that, we grew up together, so we know each other. She knows me from being the nightmare employee at a fast food restaurant when we were teenagers. But now, that I do this, she's into rocks and minerals, and we'll sit there and talk, and I'll explain little nuanced things to her, and I always look at her and say, do you really want to know this? Do I need to slow down? And she's always fascinated by it. So I could really talk about gemstones for quite a while. Sorry. SD, I don't know of any diamond and quartz that would mix together. Their formation process is different, so I wouldn't think that they would mix together. So I don't think that would be a common thing. I mean, sometimes they'll call Herkimer quartz a Herkimer diamond, which is a huge misnomer. We also have one here locally. There's quartz that you can collect from lake beds that they call Douglas diamonds. They're not diamonds, it's quartz. It's kind of just I wouldn't even say a trade name. It's just kind of a name that's been accepted and passed around, but it's not accurate. Sorry, I'm reading another comment. Always good questions, always good questions. So going back to these grape garnets, they really were they were a nice find when they came out. They can come from Mozambique, they can come from Tanzania. There's a lot of, areas in Africa that it comes from. That's no surprise, because Africa is such a great place to find gems and minerals. It really is like a hotbed. I think they call it the gemstone belt. I can't remember. I'm not great on terms when it's not, dichroscope, spectroscope, polariscope. I'm big on scopes. I'm a big scope guy. But it just kind of, Africa really, from Madagascar to Tanzania to Namibia, there's all kinds of great places that stones are coming from, and it's a big area. So to think anything might be mined out, that's something you'll learn about me, is I don't like the term mined out, because I just haven't found it in a while. That's the biggest thing that you can go with, is they'll find more someday. We don't know when. They might open a mine back up. That's kind of how it goes. So, I kind of like to show a different variety and price point of all the stones I show, just because it's nice to see. There's a price point for everybody. So I kind of like to show everything. But I really like showing really nice higher end, I call it eye candy pieces, because not everybody can see this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's in museums. You can go to some jewelry stores and see a lot of nice stuff, but most rock shops aren't really going to have, man, gemology. You gotta be able to get your hands out. You have good reaction speed. I instinctively, whenever I drop something, the Mozambique belt. See, there's smarter people out there than I, so you will get answers. Eventually, it might not be for me. It might be from one of the smart people in the chat who will pop in and give the answer, because I don't know. So I was saying reaction. Whenever I drop anything, it doesn't matter what it is. And you have to identify 500 stones when you do your graduate gemologist. Well, before you can take your test. So when you drop a stone, my foot goes out instantly, just instinct. I can't help it, because if that stone at least lands on my shoe as it's falling, it's going to soften the blow of hitting the floor. So I'm real good about kicking my foot out to get something done. So that stone slipped and caught this garnet before it went away. Like I was saying before, a lot of rock shops aren't going to have faceted gemstones. And when they do, they're either going to be astronomically high end or just lower end affordable stuff, which is great. There's not a whole lot of middle ground in these things. So I kind of like to show this stuff so you can see different qualities and varieties and know what to look for. So this is a $325 stone. It is a 4-carat Umba River garnet. So really nice quality. This is true rhodolite. It's not the grape color. And it's really good color. You can see that blend. You can see the purple in there. And I'm sorry that it's out of focus. I really am. But it just is the nature of the beast working at a desk. I can, in the coming weeks, I can revisit this rhodolite show when we're in the studio, because it does look so much better. But right now we're kind of dealing with Tom Joyce's phone, and that's what it is. Ugh, looking at it on the YouTube stream. It's terrible. I apologize. Is yellow jade rare? I would kind of say that all jade is rare. It kind of really depends on the type, because you can have the ABC jade. Type A jade is extremely rare anymore, because most stuff is bleached, impregnated, dyed. That's just the nature of material. Fine quality material, and certain things like jadeite is getting more and more rare as time goes on. But if I were going to say what color of jade was the rarest, I would say that fine apple green, that is deeply saturated throughout and just consistent color all the way across. A lot of jadeite, you'll kind of see veins, or where it's like a mottled coloring in there, and that's just nature. That's kind of how it does. Like, it'll grow, and then that coloring agent will come in, and then it'll continue to grow. Coloring agent comes back in. So when you see that deep saturation, it really is fascinating. So Stormfly, type A jade is no dye, no stabilization, no bleaching. I believe B is bleached, and then C jade is bleached, impregnated, and dyed. So impregnated just means that they insert like a wax or a polymer into it to keep it stabilized. Jade is extremely tough, but things fall apart. It's just the way degrading of materials can be. So stabilization isn't uncommon. I don't have a problem with stabilization, because a lot of times if you don't stabilize turquoise will crumble and fall apart. It's just the nature of materials. Softer, more brittle stuff will fall apart. So stabilization is not a problem. Dyeing isn't a problem. As long as anything's disclosed to you, no treatment is an issue. People just need to be honest and upfront about what that treatment is, because it does nobody any good to say that, oh, you're getting an unheated sapphire and I'm selling it for this price, and then it turns out it's heated, bulk diffused, or even glass filled. As you go down those treatments, it's a real big problem if you don't disclose what your treatment is. That's why I like garnet. No treatments at all. It's exactly how nature wanted it to be made, and it has a gorgeous color. I would say that natural is the best jade. Yes, or jadeite. I apologize. But at the same time, there's a price point for everybody. If you're not someone who is going to put in a museum, or I don't know, like a private collection, there's nothing wrong with I feel like I'm being messed with here. Apple green rhodolite. We were talking about jadeite, sir. I apologize, Eric. So no green rhodolite. The only rhodolite we have is this reddish purple or purplish red, one of the two. Rhodolite is another one. Garnet is so great because it is a natural coloration. You don't have to enhance it in any way, and it comes in a wide variety of colors. So we have one more garnet that I'm going to show, and I actually had to go down and get this one from our sample department because they didn't pull it for me. So no problems with that either. I like going down and digging through the warehouse because you find all kinds of good stuff down there. You can always find something you forgot about, and that's what happens at inventory too. We always find stuff we forgot about, which makes our shows better the next week. So this guy is, if we were going on a good, better, best mentality, which sometimes you do. Sorry, reading a comment. I guess technically you could call it umbalite. It's an Umber River garnet. So we kind of go from, we do industry terms, not industry terms, I shouldn't say industry terms, gemological terms. So we're like, Umber River is the area that it was found, but we just call it rhodolite garnet because that's what it tests as. We really have to, we go by, a GIA standard. It's the most recognized identification industry in the United States. I'm not going to say worldwide because you have FGA, GMA of Great Britain. So there's, different things, but we stick with the actual terms. We don't do, we don't usually do industry terms. We have branded stuff like Coelita, little things that we'll brand, but everything that we try to do is the actual gemological term. Okay, so this one's going to be difficult. You might see some quick reactions from Tom because this is a big stone. This is a 13.06. I didn't mean to get so quick, close to the camera for you. So this is a big boy. This is a 14 by 12 rectangular cushion. This is a rhodolite, 13.06. Really good color on this, and this is a deeper color. So you can see, like in the pictures, if you go to the website, this is RUC 060. This one has a really deep, rich color to it, and this is kind of what dreams are made of when it comes to rhodolite. When you get really, really big rhodolite garnets, same as when you get a lot of really, really big colored stones, depending on how they're cut, they're really dark, they're oversaturated. Especially in a garnet, you know, garnet has hints of brown to it, so it's something that it just kind of goes over dark. Not a problem, because if you have a 70 karat garnet, who else has one? There's very few. I've seen very few. I think I've seen a little bit bigger than those, but they all tend to be pretty dark. The good news is they're translucent or semi-translucent. You're still, thank you, Eric, I appreciate it. I practice all the time with my tweezers. I drop quite a bit, but I can also hold them quite a bit. But depending on how they cut something, you know, they can always cut it more shallow to make it lighter, deeper to make it darker. It's just how it goes, and I'll show you what I mean by that when I say deeper. Now this is a pretty big stone, but you can see how deep that goes down. I've seen some a lot deeper than this, but that deeper that you'll see, that is making more color to it. So it's making it more richly saturated. You'll see some stones that will be very thin. Like this is a kind of good example for the size that it is. Now this isn't something that's for sale. So blue topaz. And then as you see it from the side, and this is a pretty big size blue topaz, it's more thin there. So the crystal that they had was pretty dark, so they had to cut it thinner to lighten it up. That's just all there is to it. So on rubies, sapphires, you'll see that a lot. Rubies and sapphires, you cannot get mad, especially when it's an untreated sapphire, if you see it and it's just not cut perfectly, because they're sold by cost per carat, so they have to make the color the best that they can. You'll see crystal vacancies on the back. A lot of times with colored gemstones, all the secrets are on the bottom of the stone. It's never face up, because they're sold face up. The color is determined face up. So all of your secrets will be back here. You'll see little pits sometimes. Not on this stone. Rhodolite's not that way. Although rhodolite is sold cost per carat, they're going to fix it. To polish something out and lose 15 to 30 points, or even up to a carat on it, you're not losing $7,000 to $8,000 in some cases like you would with a ruby or a sapphire. So they'll leave blemishes on rubies and sapphires. So did we really talk about garnet, or did we just kind of get an overall education on gemstones in general? Either way, I'm happy with it. As always, go to gemstones.com on Facebook, JTV Extra on Facebook, JTV Tom Joyce on Facebook. I'm trying to think of all the other places it could be. JTV _ Tom Joyce on Instagram, and the wonderful audience on YouTube. Love having all the YouTube people. It's great having interaction and talking with people. If there's something you want to see, let me know. If we have it in our inventory, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. Tomorrow at noon with Preston, we'll be back in the studio with Shane. Really excited to show the Madagascar demantoid. That's something that we worked really hard to get in here. They're all one only specimens, so you don't want to miss out. We have a range of price points, so you'll really want to jump on that. The following week, we're going to do faceted demantoid garnet, because I kind of want you to see what it looks like when it comes out of the ground, and then what it looks like after it gets faceted, because it really is quite a difference. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for commenting. I really appreciate it. I'll go back through all the things that we stream on, reply to your comments if you have any questions, and just really can't thank you enough for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow at noon. Make sure you have lots of good questions for me and Preston about Madagascar demantoid and demantoid in general. I will let you know ahead of time, there's a big difference between Russian demantoid and Madagascar. No asbestos, no horsetails, but everything tests out the same way. And really, no horsetails kind of means that it has a little bit better brilliance, and you see a lot more fire and dispersion. So that's something that makes it really unique. And if you're a collector from all locales, you'll want some Madagascar demantoid in your collection. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your Sunday. I know I'm going to enjoy mine. The sun's actually shining here after what feels like 7 months of rain. I'm going to see what I can do in the out of doors. So enjoy your day. I'm definitely going to enjoy mine. Thanks for watching.